This is editing Bobby. I forgot to press record on the audio. I apologize for the beginning of Attack the Block.
It's all ruined. You ruined it.
I literally was like, I don't want to mess up audio, so we're not gonna move. And then I didn't press record. So I apologize for the first 2 minutes of that video. All right, thank you. Bye.
I remember my first time editing.
No one's gonna ever call you Mayhem if you keep on acting like such a pussy.
Hello and welcome back to Midnight Mayhem. I'm your host today, Bobby, and I love horror.
I'm Leon, I love movies.
And I'm Raymond, the other guy.
And if we sound very static or very stationary, it's because we don't want the audio to mess up this time. So that's why. We are covering Attack the Block. This was my suggestion because we're doing our current creature feature list. We just finished up Infested. I'm going to do Attack the Block, and then we're leaning towards
Tremors.
So you have that to look forward to, and then we're going to be also picking out two from your guys' comments down below and from the Instagram's list in the future right now. So
yeah, if you guys have are looking for ideas, I was thinking about a couple of future features. Like, man, those are just good ideas. One of them you recommended was The Ritual.
Oh shit, I forgot about it. Yeah,
That was
it's a good movie.
Yeah.
So there's an idea. If you guys want us to cover that, leave a comment down below. But anyway,
And if it's your first time here, we want you to watch a movie with us and talk about it, or hear us talk about it and disagree or agree with us. So that way you have someone to talk to about it, or at least comment down below.
sure. Honestly, we're kind of reaching the deep corners of horror movies that people probably aren't talking about as much. And
no, we started off in the deep corners. We're trying to get a little more towards
we lost the map, all right?
We want to lean a little bit more towards a mainstream.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like the last couple of movies, it's just been like, if you know a horror movie and nobody's talking about it, if you look it up, chances are you found us. So, hey, welcome.
Hey, look at that.
Anyway, you want to give us a quick synopsis about Attack the Block?
Yeah, it's about how do I explain this? A UK young thug gang that has an alien invasion attack their block.
Cool.
That's the best way I can describe it. If that
Sounds
sounds
good.
interesting to you, please check it out.
Yeah. Now, how did you find out about this movie?
Mine is the most unique and fun way, pretty Bobby way to find it.
Was he your professor again?
No, I went to my architectural design class. There was a flash drive plugged into my computer.
And my professor.
I clicked it, and I just opened up the folder, and it had Kick-Ass, Attack the Block,
Oh my
James
god.
Bond,
So that's how you got that flash drive.
Gabriel Iglesias.
I was like, where did you
where
did you get these?
No, I copied everything to my flash drive, and then I just left the flash drive there.
Oh, that's a little gold mine. to be
Yeah.
honest.
Maybe that's why your last computer broke.
Maybe. But yeah, that's how I got. That's why it was my first time seeing Kick-Ass, first time seeing Attack the Block.
It's all great
'Cause
movies.
I was talking to Leo a little bit about this earlier. Because I thought this was also a recommendation from your professor.
That's
And
every
It
time.
was later on because he
yeah.
was like, "Have you seen Attack the Block?" And I was like, "I just saw it like 2 months prior to this suggestion."
In your
gives
class.
this reminds me of two things. This reminds me a little bit of Infested, which is
Mhm.
cool because it's back to back,
True.
and it also reminded me a lot of Feast.
Yeah.
Like a
That's
tamed,
why
a tamed version of Feast.
when we watched Infested, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be so much fun to watch
Yeah,
Attack the Block
back to
right
back.
after," because that's a French film, right?
Yeah.
Infested, yeah.
And then this is a UK. So
And then we're going to the USA, baby. Let's go.
USA.
Follow us on Clapper.
Oh, I gotta do something about that account.
Yeah, maybe we'll just get rid of it.
On with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
we'll go back.
Sorry
Hopefully
for that side
your
tangent.
movie lives up to the hype that we've been.
I hope so because like I've seen Tremors like a bunch of times, you know, and every single time that I watch it, I'm like, yeah, it still holds up, you know, like it does get cheesy at some points, but I feel like the effects hold up very, very well.
We'll save that for that episode. Let's just focus in. Let's start off with ratings. Leo, rating Attack the Block.
I would give it a solid 7.
Solid 7?
Out of 10, yeah.
8 out of 10.
Yeah, 8 out of 10.
Yeah. The more I sat on it, I was like, I really like the movie.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's something I would like watch very often.
Yeah, it's a periodic. Like I'm gonna go back and revisit it. Revisiting it was so funny. I was like, oh man. It was
Kind of
I know,
a little
there
time capsule.
There are a bunch of jokes that I forgot about it too.
But yeah, I had a feeling you would like it more because it is more comedy driven. It has just that kind of like dry humor where it's just they just say things that happen to be ironic,
super funny.
Yeah, just like
And for kids to just say it too.
Yeah.
yeah. And then that's it. So if that sounds interesting to you, if you know our rating system, it's just based on I like horror. He's a casual watcher and he knows film. So There you go.
I want to quickly talk about what I knew about this movie going in. Is the title?
Yeah.
That's all you knew.
Yeah,
it's
and then
the
I got a quick glimpse of like the synopsis. I didn't read the synopsis, but I got a quick glimpse of it, and it said London. And I was like, I don't know anything about London besides Doctor Who. And who's the first face I see in this movie is Jodie Whittaker.
Yeah.
She plays the 13th Doctor.
13th Doctor.
on Doctor
She
Who.
plays the 13th Doctor?
Yeah, he said it like as he was watching. He was like, "Oh, is that?"
Yeah, I was like, is that who I think it is?
Nah,
I was like, bloody hell, like, you know.
So
forgive
that's
me
why
for
you
not-
brought this
That's
in.
why. This is why this year we waited a
Oh.
week to record so I can bring this out.
I was wondering. I was like, dude, just because this movie's English, like,
And it's got
doesn't mean
aliens,
it has
and
to
it
do
has
with
aliens.
Doctor Who, you know?
Hey,
Like,
you'd be wrong.
but now I get it. Okay.
There's a joke in like the Doctor Who community or whatever where it's like, oh, like the BBC only has like 12 actors, and she's one of them. She was also in a kind of horror adjacent a show called Black Mirror.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she was in that as well.
Okay.
And then one of the big surprises when we started watching the movie was John Boyega.
John
Thank
Boyega.
you. I was trying to find his name.
Breakout role
I was
for
seeing
John
first.
Boyega.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's his first role, but I know it's one of his earliest roles. If you don't know who John Boyega is, it's Finn from
Star Wars: Force Awakens, Last Jedi.
Literally the
and,
most underutilized character ever.
Yeah.
yeah.
The
Like,
biggest
one of the
ball
coolest
drop-
characters.
The biggest
and
ball drop in the galaxy.
So.
Like, imagine if a stormtrooper became a Jedi. Keep imagining.
So I'm just not talking about Star Wars, but yeah, he was like I was the most excited for.
Let's not get into it because I can do 3 other
Yeah,
podcasts about that. Okay.
So going into spoilers, what is your guys' favorite scenes?
I gotta say the ending.
The action scene at the end, where
The-
where he's running through.
He's
past
running through everything. Yeah, like that one looks pretty cool.
I thought that was probably the most cheesiest part of the movie.
I
Why wouldn't
didn't
you
mind
think
it.
otherwise?
Like,
But-
I didn't mind it, but I was kind of like I did like the part where he's running with the alien on his back and he jumps the wire and the alien just hits the
Oh,
roof of the
yeah.
door.
Yeah.
That was good. Good comedic moments.
Woo! My bad.
Actually, no, that was my least favorite part. My bad, guys.
No, there was this one scene that I'm like, yeah, that's a good gore shot. Which one was that one? When when
there's
they
a couple
it was
good
the
gore
elevator, right?
The elevator, yeah.
The elevator.
Where he
No,
walks out when
You're talking about the aftermath?
no, not the aftermath. I think when they kill the main thug, like the main gangster that's going after them throughout the
so
movie.
when he's pointing the gun at them, and then
Yeah, and
he's-
they all come through the window and they just tear him to pieces. Like that scene was really cool.
Yeah, I actually thought the gore was pretty subpar for this movie, especially as a recommendation from you. Like there were certain scenes where I was like,
This is very more.
Okay.
I should have said this early on, but it's very much entry level to me.
entry level horror. Yeah,
This is like I think
Yeah.
this is right when you're going from like your young watching everything phase to like, okay, now I want to start watching something that's a little more.
I want to watch something where I gotta have the
refined.
doors locked and and make sure nobody.
But I
walks
forgot.
in.
I forgot that
Something
this
has a little
movie even
more
had
story.
gore.
What were you saying?
No, I forgot that this movie even had gore. Like
I did too.
some of the gore. Yeah.
I thought it was PG-13. I'm not even sure.
So
if it
did
is.
I. Yeah.
Is
but
it
it-
not?
Based on the
No.
gore, I'm
It
pretty
It felt
sure.
like a PG-13 movie.
It
Yeah.
did, but they had like 5 F words, you know, and
I-
the gore was pretty gnarly.
I
too.
hadn't had a chance to double check, but is it the same directors of Shaun of the Dead? And
It is not Simon. It's not What is it? No, not Simon Pegg. He's the actor.
I feel like you guys would know more names. No,
No,
I'll pull
it's,
it up.
Edgar
Or
Wright.
don't
Edgar
be,
Wright, there we go.
Yeah,
don't be
Edgar Wright.
screenshots.
I don't think
No,
so.
I feel like the comedy wasn't as fast paced.
Well,
a lot of Edgar Wright's
and
movies you can tell. Like
The editing is just.
One of them was
like
in there,
all
though.
crazy.
Nick Frost.
Nick
Nick
Frost.
Frost. Yeah, he's always.
But
in
I
there.
saw him in the movie and I was like, oh my god, like where's Simon Pegg? Like he's gonna show up any moment now.
Yeah, overall the movie was really fun. My favorite scene, probably I do like that action sequence at the end, but I think all the gore portions are some of my favorites.
Which gore portions?
The one where he realizes the gun is a toy. And he
Right.
So that was piss, right?
That,
Or was
no,
it
that was
gasoline?
gasoline.
Gasoline.
They straight up light that that thing on
Oh
fire.
no, I'm not talking about the little kids. The little
No,
kid
no,
part
I
is
know.
fun.
But I'm talking about when he pulls the gun and he shoots it and it's just like the little stream or whatever.
Yeah, it was
Because
a
when he
water
takes
gun.
it from the kid, he's like, "That's not a toy."
Oh no, it was gasoline.
That was gasoline.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it was gasoline.
Because when the kids look at each other like, "Oh, like it's not water." Hey, hey, hey.
Yeah, and you think it's pee.
Yeah.
But it was what?
Either that or
Probs,
they're really dehydrated.
probs and mayhem.
Probs and mayhem.
Yeah.
It's Mayhem, and he's Prob.
Yeah, I forgot how funny those guys were. They really made the movie. Watching this like years later, I was like, oh yeah, sweet mayhem.
Yeah.
If I did this right, it should be the intro for this.
I do have
but-
some criticisms, so I'll get into my part, and then I want to see how you can defend Because it is your recommendation, so
That's
just to kind of give it a
funny
little
as
more
hell.
mayhem into the mix. I think from now on we'll have the hosts, put out the
Lead.
movie, and we're going to either talk about what we like or dislike. Then we're going to see if we change your mind on the movie at all
Oh, by the end.
by the end.
But
of the,
yeah,
by the
because
end of the
sometimes
episode.
you'll notice if you've watched some of our videos that like our ratings will change sometimes. Towards
Yeah,
So
that's
towards the end.
true.
the only part that I kept thinking of was after they killed the little alien.
Yeah.
Which we right when we saw it, we're like, oh, that looks like Wild Mutt from Ben 10.
Oh
It
yeah,
did. It
once
looked
you
like
said that,
It looked
looked like a
exactly like
miniature Wild Mutt.
exactly like Walmart. Yeah.
But it's the part where they're like walking around the city with it.
Yeah,
And
it looks like a puppet.
Yeah,
or it
and
is a
then,
puppet.
And then the
Yeah.
girl's like, oh, that's so gross or whatever. And he's like, oh crap, it's alive. And he starts like moving. Yeah, that's the part I remember
I
the
remember that.
most,
That's
the most
funny.
fondly. The parts I didn't like, there's a character I feel like he didn't need to be in the movie.
There's a
at
couple.
all.
Are you talking to the kid that was in the trash can?
No, I think he's talking about
Oh.
the young white gentleman that's like lives at home and
Yeah.
his car is the one that he's like the centerpiece of everything happening.
yeah.
Yeah, but like I felt like you could have just made one of the kids more into science, and he could have been completely written out. Is he like a good actor? Like, is he like
I don't know.
popular?
Not really.
No?
I mean,
Because I was
actually,
wondering
no.
if they needed more name recognition for the movie. Because I know like Jodie
I wouldn't
Whittaker
be
wasn't
surprised.
too
No,
much
even
at this
then,
point.
like he just had one role, and his what's it called? His contribute to the movie was just that he just kind of said, yeah, that's science. Like they're just
Yeah.
following the baby, but it's
Well,
like
he's the one watching the TV early on,
Yeah.
where he's watching about moss and pheromones, and then it's his car that the alien crashed into,
could be
and
another-
then
he had
he's the
cargo.
one walking down the hall and finds he's literally just a bystander that caused like just is walking from event to
I
event,
guess.
and then you're seeing it from that perspective.
Yeah.
So
I-
it is unnecessary to have him. You could probably shorten the film quite a bit with just
and
cropping his
then I
portion
will
out.
say, as far as characters go, so the main group of kids,
I liked them all.
I liked them all. There wasn't any characters I hated,
Yeah.
but I felt like a lot of the main cast was like a cookie cutout.
A little bit, yeah.
So
Like nobody really stood out to me too much in that group of friends.
nobody stood out to you too much.
Obviously, besides John Boyega, because he
So-
was like the main.
Yeah.
he's the main member
well,
of
what
the
about
group.
what about the kid on the bike? I feel like he always
Which one? Like
no, the one that threw it in the trash can. I know exactly what she's talking
what
about.
was his
Uh,
name? Biggs.
Big. Is it?
I didn't
Biggs?
refresh.
No, it wasn't Biggs. No, it's not Biggs. It's the other one. That's kind of like his name's kind of like Trash or something. What's his name again?
Yeah,
you have the
I'll
name
pull up
list right there?
I'll pull up
Pull
the
it-
name
yeah,
of the
please,
list.
because I don't have to say. it.
But yeah, I was just thinking like, yeah, like none of the characters really stood out to me as much as I enjoyed them. Or not even that.
Pest. There we go.
Pest.
Pest stood out to me.
He's
To
the
me,
one who
at
makes the jump. The one who's like, I could jump this,
Yeah.
and then later on he ends up in the trash can.
He's the one that no, not that one. The one that gets his leg bitten.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, yes.
Yeah.
He, I don't know. Like his thing was like he was a stoner. That's
He-
about it.
I mean, I guess, but like he had some funny.
Well, we're-
liners.
He had good lines.
You're talking about an
I like
age-
I like the banter between him and I'll just call her the doctor. What was her
Yeah, I
name?
know.
Sam, which is funny because she was a nurse in this
Nurse in the movie, yeah.
And then later, she becomes a doctor.
Ah,
Fantastic.
The what is it? I don't know. I don't mind the cookie cutter like tropes to it because they're supposed to be 13 to 15 years old roughly.
Yeah.
Like their
Right,
their
yeah.
little gang. And one of the big moments for me rewatching it was the moment where they all go into their individual homes and you see what their life is like just for a
Oh,
second.
Yeah.
He's like his mom's like, be back in 10 minutes. He's like, I will. And
He's
then,
like, oh, I just gotta do something. And they're all like grabbing weapons.
but you realize he's obviously it's like obviously a single mother home.
Yeah.
And then the other guy goes home and he's like, take the dog out for a walk. And his dad's like yelling at him,
Yeah.
like to do it. And he's
Yeah.
like, it's clearly like that's the situation as it is.
I like that mom that told him like be back in 10 minutes. Like there was one part where he's like in extreme danger. He calls his mom.
He says,
just,
"I
like,
love
for
you."
help.
Oh yeah, he's like stuck in the trash can the whole film.
Yeah, he's like,
And he's like
"Mom,
calling mom. I was like, oh, like
I'm not gonna make it. I
I'm
love
not gonna make
you."
it home.
Yeah.
She's like you said 10 minutes. Like it's like where
You
where
got
are
5.
Where are
You got
Yeah.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like
So I didn't mind that because like especially when you're that young, you very much have friends that fit tropes.
Yeah.
Like even to this
Yeah.
day, so, like some of your friends will just be like, oh
I just think like if you have like face blindness, it's hard for you to tell like who is who.
yeah,
Like,
but
is
that's what happens when you have so many characters.
Yeah.
But that's also like, because like there's some characters I completely forgot about, like the nerdy dude, the one that got eaten in the hallway.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
it Jordan or something? I can't remember his name.
no, I
His
think that
name
was
was
big.
Jerome.
Jerome.
Oh, Jerome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he died unceremoniously, but it was also like, dang, that sucks. Because you feel for him, because you kind of got a little bit of his character.
Yeah.
But again, that's what happens when you have like a higher kill count for
Yeah.
it. It's like, But what was your favorite scene? Because my favorite scene was the scene where he's gonna shoot the gun. It doesn't work because it is a toy, and then that thing jumps to the window and rips his head off. Like I was like, oh, he has a helmet on. He's all right.
Yeah, I thought.
Freaking threw the helmet through it, and then the following scene is the girls fighting the 1v4 or 1v3. The girls beating up the one.
So this one's a
funny.
little more serious of a scene that I enjoyed, which is when Sam goes to his house.
Yeah, his apartment.
Moses' house, and he's like, oh, like, who do you live with? You know, and he's like, just my uncle. He's like, he's not really around. And she goes into a room, and it's like Spider-Man blankets, like the stuffed animals, toys, or whatever. He's like, oh, you have a little brother? He's like, no. She's like, how old are you? And he's like 15. And I was like, damn, like, because the whole time I assumed he was going to be on like the older scale.
Yeah, like he's like the 17.
They literally wait till the end to reveal it to you.
Yeah, and it's such a decent payoff because it's like the whole point of the film is like political commentary almost, where it's like they're victims of circumstance,
Right.
Yeah.
and this is just how they have to be to survive. So I just really like that reveal where he's just like, oh, I'm 15, and it's like this is he has to sell drugs, he has to like
he hasn't sold drugs yet, but he's slowly getting like he's literally about to make that.
He's
next
in that
step.
transition where he's gonna cross a bridge he can't come
And
back from.
that's why one of my favorite lines of the movie is when Pest is like, so he's like, where don't you have you look pretty fit, like don't you have a boyfriend? He goes, yeah, he's over there helping people in Africa. And he's just like, oh, not exotic enough to help people here.
Yeah, I guess people here aren't exotic enough for him to help.
Yeah, not that it's like bad to help other people in another country, but it's like
you
these guys are
something wrong.
Yeah, they're suffering where they currently live.
Yeah,
and they don't have any help. And then there's also that fun moment of dialogue where they're like trying to figure out why this is happening to them. They're like, oh, the government sent it to us.
that was another thing I like, because there are actual like historic
there are
cases of that where
in America, yes, and in the UK. So
Tremors, like government job. Spoiler alert.
I was like, what?
I'm just kidding.
it was all Reba.
I'm just kidding.
But yeah, that's obviously the big story behind it. Everything's in plain sight. I'd say the only part I dislike the least, and I want to hear your guys' after, is the opening scene where they kill the female.
The wild mutt.
Oh, I enjoyed that one.
That was my least favorite
cool.
scene.
Really?
I remember watching that.
It just seemed.
I tuned
seemed
out
a little
when I
out of place. But I mean, at the beginning of the movie, so it's like it wasn't so off-putting where it affected the movie for me.
No, yeah.
No,
But my first watch, I tuned out of it. The second time rewatching, I was like, I probably just didn't like this.
But
portion.
I like that scene because it's like it gives you like the best look at what these monsters look like, because after that one, all of them look.
You got the reveal of the male.
Yeah, they reveal like that. They're almost silhouette like their fur is so dark. It's like a black matte color.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of the monster design? So we're talking about creature features. What would you give a rating for the
It's perfect in its simplicity.
yeah,
It being a creature that is like directly in front of you, but it's so dark you can't see it.
Yeah.
Until you killed it, and they're killable.
Yeah.
So they're not like something, and they follow a rule. They don't ever do anything stupid, or it's like you stab it and babies come out and something ridiculous.
Well, you got a problem with infesting?
No, I don't. I'm just saying, like, they established a rule early on that you can kill these things.
Yeah.
They're basically like mini bears.
Yeah.
And
what was the like bear gorilla looking thing?
Yeah. And he's like, that's not a dog.
I agree with Bobby, because it's like they have a very like simple design but yet threatening design, because I remember there was a bunch of scenes where it's like they're just looking into like a dark area
And you just see
and you see their teeth, because their teeth glow in the dark, which
Because I think the first introduction to them, at least for the male of the species, was they're like, oh, is it looking at us? And they're like, I don't think those are its eyes.
Yeah.
And then you see
Yeah.
their mouth open.
Yeah, exactly. And also it helps the movie too, because it is a kind of like a low budget movie. So it's like that design helped them like hide their imperfections, and it like helped them save a lot of money on budget, while still like, because obviously these things were also practical too,
Yeah.
So they were people in costumes and stuff like that for the most part, but even that, it had some CGI shots that this matte color helped hide them pretty well.
Yeah.
It's like when imagine being in a room with a wild animal. That's the same vibe it gave.
Yeah.
Like when
I did like the
Sure.
steady shots. I thought it was a little weird when they were running.
from
The creatures.
during when the creatures ran.
When they're running, because it's like when you see like a dog run, it's like obviously you know like where the legs are moving or whatever. But I
Yeah.
felt like the legs were a little, not
Kinda-
all over the place. But
I know
they
what you
weren't-
mean.
They
It had
weren't like
this,
a
like-
gallop. It was like a
yeah,
weird.
yeah. Mhm.
I think the reason for that though is that they're aliens. Like you can kind of justify that
Sure.
they gallop weird. But we do have to take a break for just a moment, so we'll be right back. And we're back. So, Leo, you had some fun facts for us?
So you mentioned earlier the director, right?
Yeah.
So the director, like he directed a couple other movies. Like he was really well involved with the Adam and Joe show, which was like a really popular show in England, I guess. And then he directed another movie called The Kid Who Would Be King. Not movies that you would know, right?
Mm.
But he did work as a writer for a very big, I guess you could say kind of small
Was it Good Morning
Marvel
Vietnam?
movie, along with
Can I take a guess because of your wordplay?
sure,
Was
yeah,
it Ant-Man?
it was Ant-Man.
Yeah.
He was a writer for Ant-Man, and the reason he was a writer is because he's really good friends with obviously the director from Hot Fuzz.
Yeah.
And in all
Edgar
those
Wright.
movies, Edgar Wright. He's really good friends with him. So at the beginning, when they were making Ant-Man, Edgar Wright was supposed to be the main director for Ant-Man. But obviously, you know, he dropped out for creative differences. But this guy stayed on as a
writer.
writer.
Because if your friend gets you a job, like even if
Yeah.
your friend's not there, like
and it's
keep the job.
and it's funny because we were mentioning how like John Boyega, like this is his breakout role, I guess, and he went on to do Star Wars. The director, he had a cameo in like all three sequel movies with John Boyega.
In the Star Wars?
Yeah, like
I
The
had no
Force
idea.
Awakens, Last Jedi, and what was the last one called?
Doesn't matter. It was
Doesn't
not
matter.
good.
The Star Wars. There's a Star Wars
the,
movie.
the Return of the Force.
Yeah. So,
I wish this was in.
anything additional before we go into
Alpha.
final thoughts?
I wish this was in.
No, that's about it, really. That's all. That's the cool things I can find because I was looking information on it and I was like, oh, that's pretty funny. That makes sense. You know, this movie had like that. It wasn't like right there as an Edgar Wright movie, you know. Because you can tell an Edgar Wright movie is one of those movies like, oh yeah, he directed this movie. Same thing with like Sam Raimi. It's like, oh, you can tell like Sam Raimi or
Yeah.
Tim Burton. Or,
Well,
yeah,
now
exactly.
that I'm older and now paying attention to it more often,
Uh-huh.
like film styles,
Yeah,
I probably would
yeah.
notice it. I haven't watched Shaun of the Dead in forever.
Yeah, and you have other directors who are influenced by these other directors, you know?
Yeah, like Sam Raimi, you definitely could tell when he's inspired by him.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, like
Uh,
Sam Raimi is definitely inspired by like Tim Burton, you know? And same thing with like who's the creator from Haunted Hill House? The guy who directed The Shining.
Vincent Price.
No. The show. No, the
The Doctor Sleep or
Doctor Sleep. Who's the director on that again?
I
It
don't know
was
off the top of my head.
anyway. He was a really big fan of Kubrick. So
One scene that really made this movie for me as a kid because I had to reflect on how I watched this when I was younger. Two things on past me.
On
I
Past
was
Me?
yeah, I was like, come on, Bobby. One big thing that made this movie for me was the fact that he's like, go home, watch some Naruto.
Go home, lock your door, do your homework, watch Naruto.
Made
Oh,
this movie,
yeah.
made this movie like 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, like so good for me when I was a kid. I was
No, he's like, go
'cause-
home, play FIFA, watch Naruto, and it's
And
Will
this is-
do, sir.
When I was a kid, no anime wasn't cool, so that was like the coolest thing to me. And then the second,
Nowadays you have freaking Jujutsu Kaisen
Hey,
at McDonald's.
I went
and-
to the mall and I saw someone wearing shining guns. I was like, hey,
That's super
that's
cool.
awesome. I was like, yeah.
The ironic part about that is like they probably can't see through those contexts.
Oh, it was funny though because I was like, it was a little girl. She's like, that's a cool, because I was wearing My Hero. She's like, that's a cool shirt, and I was like, oh, your eyes are amazing. It's so sick. Yeah, that was super funny. And then the one thing that I got to reflect on was past me was like, oh man, why can't was Sam was Doctor.
Yeah.
She's like, I was like, oh, why can't she get over them robbing her? I was like as a teenager,
Like they're just kids.
They're just-
Come
they were-
on.
they
They're
were
just
ju-
having a good old laugh.
like they just took your purse. Calm
your
down.
purse, your engagement
As an
ring.
adult watching that scene, and she's all traumatized, all scared, and like talking
yeah,
to her
I
neighbor.
100% understand them. You know?
Yeah, now. When I was a
exactly.
teenager, because I was a freshman when I saw
Like,
this.
yeah, hell yeah,
Yeah.
you deserve that for
Down
being-
with that white skink.
I might have been a sophomore, but yeah, come on, pass Bobby. But sometimes you just got some self-reflecting to do.
I know.
Still love the movie though. Still love it.
I think it's probably one of those things where depending on the age you watch a film, you'll have different perspectives on it.
Yeah.
So like I know there are a lot of things where it's just like, oh come on Poseidon, like she loves him, like just let her do what she wants. And then as a father, you're like, go to your room, Ariel, put a shirt on. I think it's one of those things, which I mean, I think movies like that are extremely unique in the sense that you can watch them years later and you'll have a completely different understanding of the film.
And right off the bat, this is just like an immediate cult classic. When you were looking up images to use on our background, he was seeing all this like fan art, all these cool,
a lot of cool like minimalist posters. Like they look really cool. If we can, we'll
I'm gonna try to include some images of them, but I want to try to find the artist if I do. So yeah. But super fun watch. I hope you checked it out. If you didn't, we spoiled like most of the movie for you. But
even then, there's a lot going on in the movie.
We purposely left a lot out because I really do want people to watch it. It's only like an hour and 30 minutes.
It's super short,
fun.
super
it was on
short,
Max. We probably should have said that earlier. I'll probably put something in there early on.
Yeah.
But
if you had to change one thing about this film, if you could change one thing to make this film better, or at least like
from my own
barbaric
perspective, my
Uh-huh.
primal brain,
because like I said, this movie
more gore.
There was a couple of similarities to Infested and more similarities even to Feast.
These people are trying to leave an apartment complex, trying to
these young thugs
flee
are trying
these
to
creatures.
flee these creatures, and there's a whole hallway scene with smoke and nobody can see anything.
Yeah.
One of their friends dies.
Yeah, well, for a
Yeah.
quick second, I actually want to talk about that, but after.
Okay.
Something I would want to change about the movie. I think it flows pretty well. Like you said, you could have cropped a couple scenes out with that gentleman that kind of was pointless.
Yeah.
But then, even then, you'd probably be at like an hour and 20 minutes for a movie.
His name was I'm gonna have you guess his name, since we had just watched this about a week ago.
Like what's his actual name in the movie?
Yeah, what's his name in the movie?
I want to say Andrew.
Keith Edwards.
Yeah. No. There's a Brewis.
Brewis,
yeah. Like I said, I feel like he could have been cut out. Would have made things a lot more simpler. But let me look at his acting roles.
I guess
I feel like, and this like they could have. I mean, it's nothing too big for me, but they could have added maybe a tiny little bit more lore into like.
I would have said
these
more.
creatures.
The only thing I could add would be. Oh, you mean the creatures?
The
I think
creatures
leaving
themselves,
the
Less
creatures
is more.
Yeah, I think because
it's true, but
because-
I don't know. I mean, like,
Well,
'cause
what would
there's
you
not,
say? Like if you were like, oh, we want Lord of the Creatures, there's like, what would you prefer? Like a deleted scene where they're like, oh, this is the planet they're from.
No,
Nah, I feel like
no, just
unnecessary.
maybe like I don't know, because it's like I said, it's a stupid suggestion. Like I wouldn't change much from it, but it's like if I were to change one thing or add more to this, I would probably just add more lore, just because I'm such a bitch for lore, like.
Well, what are you thinking? Like a dissection scene?
No, maybe not, but it's like where do they come from and why?
Outer space. I feel
Yeah,
like you don't
because
need
they
much
said
more on
that
top
they're
of
like,
that.
oh, these things are just like flying through space and they're like landing on planets. They're just following the female from planet to planet. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, cool, I get it, but how do they leave the planet? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think they just terraform the whole planet and then something probably happens. Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah, but it's
maybe like
fine. It's
maybe
fine.
like how seeds work.
Yeah,
Like the
yeah.
planet just explodes there, like
'Cause-
in shells, and then they just shoot out to whichever planet.
Well, they
Because
always
even
send the
even
female
even in
first.
Slither, they had that small, tiny like scene where it's like, oh, these creatures, they're like, they infect every single living creature in the planet, and then they just kind of like go from planet to planet. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I would
But
imagine.
that's a good point too for that one as well, where it's like, how do they move? Like they're not making rocket ships; they're
Yeah.
worms. They're
Well, see,
No
that's the
idea.
cool thing
Bear
about
gorilla
this.
dogs.
If you really want to
Exactly.
think about it, like let your imagination run wild, you could be like, oh, are they submissive to another being that sends it in? Like
Yeah.
sends them in to clear out,
Could be, yeah.
And then-
or
and then just because they're not unkillable.
and also when they land, they're not in like a ship. They're not in a pod. Like they just
They just
land.
crash land,
Like
yeah.
they're,
well,
they
they're
just
like they're like in a
land.
pod. They're like a.
I
Because
feel
they
like
said
the
it looked like
female-
a fossil.
Oh,
like a
you're
cocoon.
right. Oh, you're
Yeah.
right. Yeah, the cocoon that was this. Yeah, okay, yeah. See what I mean? That's fine. It's fine. I wouldn't change much from this movie. I would say give Nick Frost a little bit more screen time.
Nick Frost is fine. I didn't really like him too much in this movie. He was just kind of there.
That's
Yeah,
what I'm saying.
very
Like, give
much.
him
There
a
was
little bit
there
more.
was a small
of a role
moment of
in it.
sympathy for him. when they're like, oh, we gotta get into the weed room or whatever. He's like, it's the safest place, and he's like, oh, like, are you guys sure? Like,
sure?
I
He
don't
has
think
a
it's the
gun
safest
behind
place.
him.
I don't think it's the safest place. Then but
Yeah.
you realize like the random like sub antagonist was in the room.
Who had a unironic bop.
Yeah,
That's funny.
Blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah.
blah blah blah.
The,
I got that on my Spotify playlist.
right after.
Yeah.
No, the only thing I would change about the movie is adding more lore to the block itself. The block
That's
the
what
block
I was
is
thinking. The same thing.
because at the
That's
end of the
true,
movie
yeah.
they're chanting like his name,
Yeah,
like Moses,
Moses.
Moses, and they're like, come on, like and it's like, okay, why is everyone supporting him? But I get the idea is like, oh, they trust him because he's part of that, part of the
Because he
community.
protected them, and
Yeah, like he wouldn't
The-
just do something stupid.
the one thing is
But
when they're going around, they're trying to warn everybody. It's like, do we know if there's any pre-existing relationship? Are they just going to random houses and saying, hey, like,
they
stay inside your house?
well, the only glimpse we get of how
I mean, usually in these project like apartments, like everybody knows each other. You know, like it's not.
it's funny because that kind of complex reminds me of like the one that you grew up in.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's why when I pulled up to your house, I was like, attack the block.
I always think of
You
wreck.
see the thing like crawling on it?
No, but I know why they didn't include it. There's too many characters as it is.
Yeah.
To sit there and be knocking on doors and like, hey, and,
Yeah.
No, not
and
even-
May,
That's true,
move,
that's
like,
true.
Not even so
lock
much
your
that.
door.
And May.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like,
I think like if you added like a even like a 3-minute scene of them just like walking through the building and be like, oh hey, like what's up, like oh hey, how's your knee from surgery or
the
whatever.
closest thing we got to that was the part where she said where he's like, oh, it's alive still, like with the girls. But I would have liked a bigger sense of community.
Yeah.
But I know why they
Yeah.
didn't do it because they had to pay more people, and
I mean,
it probably had
they-
its own budget.
They
So.
already
They
had
had
the
it-
extras.
Yeah,
They're
and they already had
already
a
there.
scene at the end,
yeah.
to shoot that
Yeah.
was pretty
But
expensive.
like to actually
so.
film a scene though, like with a few people and have them reoccurring later on. You know, you're the other one who taught me that like they usually don't film things in order.
Chronological.
No.
No,
Yeah.
they filmed the most expensive scene first, and then they go down the line. Like in this movie,
So maybe that ending scene
yeah, they
was
filmed.
like
they,
the last scene they filmed.
definitely filmed that first.
And then now like, oh, we got to go back
Yeah.
and find the same actor to like have an, you know,
Yeah,
I mean, that's what I
exactly.
said. It just seems like it would be difficult.
Another fault I had with the movie, I don't not like that Moses survives,
Yeah.
but like, how?
He jumped out the window.
I know he jumped out the window, but it's just like, don't you think the force that an explosion, especially that
Oh,
size,
yeah, but
that would have pushed him.
I think the
That would have at least obliterated his back.
ending felt like a
Yeah.
commentary, like that he's the one who gets arrested. He's the one who's gonna take the fall
Yeah.
for everything. If they don't discover bodies, which they will, but like based on how the ending was, it's like everything's on him. Like,
Yeah.
and that's also why we had our I guess our hero would have been Sam, from like a certain perspective.
sure, yeah.
I feel like she's our entry point.
Okay, so
Yeah.
her being like.
She's
She's
kind
like,
of
no, he's not the one who robbed me. He's the one who saved me.
yeah.
Or she realizes like they
She's-
are
she's
literally
the-
just
she's
kids.
the audience perspective.
She's the audience perspective, yeah.
and then
that's what
our
I'm saying.
antagonist of the movie is Moses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like the tone shift from her having from the beginning of the movie to the end.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, she finally like now that she's gotten a chance to know the people there, that you have a better understanding of them.
Yeah.
It's literally just a commentary, and it's brilliant. I love it.
Yeah. I do like the commentary aspect of the movie.
Yeah.
And
I
it
forgot.
blended really well with the film.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure your rating is going to be exactly the same. But is there anything that we've said in this episode that made you either appreciate the movie more or criticize the movie a little bit more? Because I feel like you're still at a solid 8.
I'm at a
'Cause
solid.
I'm there as well.
I
What did I
teeter
say,
on like
7.5?
going
I
up.
think you said 7.
I'll stick to 7.5.
Yeah, I stand by my 8, but I do love this movie, so it's like I'm also trying not to be biased because I watched this when I was younger.
And I've never heard of this movie up until
I'm glad you liked
the
it.
show,
I am very
yeah.
glad you guys liked it.
And it's a great movie, like, because it's like it's very well shot, you know, and it's creative as hell, and
Yeah.
it's fun. Overall, it's a fun creature feature. You know what I mean?
It's literally, I think, the definition of creature feature, and it's
Yeah.
like it's literally
exactly.
short and to the point. You don't need to know too much about the monster.
Yep. They're just there.
And the commentary is what makes you like the characters.
Yeah, pretty
So
much.
it's like, yeah. Before we finish up, I just want to quickly do a side by side. Actually, I'll make it its own thing. You guys mind doing something right after this, just for a quick second?
That's fine.
I don't get it. We'll have to-
It'll be like
You
10
can't keep me
minutes.
forever, dude. Like people know I'm here.
Sure, yeah, let's do it.
All right,
It's
guys.
been weeks.
Thank you if you made it this far in the video. Thank you for watching. Hope you liked the movie. If you did, please comment down below. I would love to hear just any commentary, because I think this movie deserves a lot more love. It obviously does get a lot of love, but more is better.
Yeah.
All right. Any guys' final thoughts? Anything to say?
Nope, that's it.
All right. Follow us if you feel like it. There they are.
Horror
above.
podcast.
Screenshots.
Horror Podcast 2 and Midnight Mayhem
2
on Instagram.
Just kidding.
All right. Thank you for watching.
All right, love you. Bye.
Bye.